Hello and welcome to Inspiration Moments. I'm your host, Lynn Austin. Today's show is brought to you by the WBC, the world's best connector, a virtual community of C-suite executives needing a change or tired of spending money networking. The world's best connector provides a solution that helps successful CEOs enhance their connections with family, employees, government, partners, and the media. For more information, go to www.thewbcs.com. That's www.thewbcs.com.
Today's topic is legacy. Legacy is your mark on the world. It's essentially what you're looking to leave behind. It's your stamp on the world. All of the things that you may have touched. So let me just differentiate. Legacy is not heritage. Heritage is more about what you inherit, what's passed on to you. Legacy is more about what you're choosing to leave behind. Legacy is not about death. It's about the kind of life you lived, that you want to live. It's about all of those you may have touched. It's reflective in the things that you're passionate about. In some cases, it's also about things that are duplicated later in life, or sustainability, those things that last, that remain long after you're gone. Something that you built, or a cause that you cared so much about that you wanted to leave something that could go on beyond you. So looking at it from past, present, and future, do you have a legacy? Do you want a legacy? And if so, what do you want your legacy to be? What I would offer is everybody has a legacy of some sort. If you've ever come in contact with, touched, influenced, been thought about by another, you have a legacy. It's that seed that you've planted into the world. It's that thing that people think about when they think of you. People who, in my life, who've gone on, they left a legacy with me that helps me to remember who they were, what they did, how they did it, and sometimes why they did it. I guess the timing for this topic is just about being mindful of your legacy, to not let it happen by chance or have it out there happening with no idea of what you want it to be. So I put 10 little steps on just for thoughts for consideration. I would ask, what are you passionate about? Number 2, where do you serve, or do you serve? Is it your church? Is it with a particular cause? Youth, domestic violence, animals. My personal 2 are at-risk teen girls and domestic violence. Those are 2 areas that I'm passionate about, that I serve with, and that I give to. The third thing, where do you ask, how can I help? Is there an opportunity or an adventure that you're passionate about that you actually would say, how can I help? I have some really good friends who their category or area is homelessness, and so they will collect toiletries, or they will collect food. They'll coordinate food bank operations, and they'll go into the community to feed the homeless. So where do you ask, how can I help? Number 4, where do you contribute your time, treasures, and gifts? All of us have something about who and what we are. When we think about helping or serving, where do we place those things? What do we do with those things? That's important to help understand. What makes you smile? What are you happy about? What kind of things just give you joy? You know, I was speaking with somebody the other day, and we were talking about the word happy, and I felt, or I believe, that happy is related to things that may happen. So it can be a up and down situation. And I believe that joy, for me, is something that's internal, that I can experience joy whether or not the things that are happening are up or down, because joy is from within. Number 6, what do you respect? What kind of things do you value and respect above all else? What's important to you? Number 7, what do you dream about? What do you dream that is different, changed, bigger, better, smaller, wider, whatever that may be? What is that thing for you? What do you trust? And more importantly, are you trustworthy within that space? Do people believe in your word? Do people understand what you stand for? Just something to think about. Number 9, what legacies have you experienced? When we think about our grandparents or other people in our lives that may have passed on, when you think about them, what is that legacy that they left? What is that thing that, when you think about them, embodies who and what they were? My grandmother, her legacy was bringing the family together. She would, especially in the later parts of her life, she would organize the family and family reunion activities. And the funny thing about it, we called my grandmother Granny. When we talked about Granny, nobody said no to Granny, so come hell or high water, if it was a reunion, Granny was putting it on, you were there no matter where you were. So again, that's part of her legacy. And then the last one, number 10, is legacy is not about keeping score, but how you are at serving and service. So when you're willing and able to give of your time, talents, and treasures in service to another, that becomes something too that is legacy. Last week I participated in a workshop where I was on a panel, and I specifically spoke on branding elements. But when you think about that, the topic aside for a moment, the activity of serving, the activity of giving back, the activity of sharing from my life experiences or my life learnings or my educational experience, sharing of that for the sole purpose to help others so that they can put those tools into place and into practice for their life is something that's important to me. So when I think about my legacy, the things that are important to me is that I was viewed as a mentor, that I was a motivator, that I was a teacher. So I fundamentally believe in teaching a man to fish, and I try my best to do that in all things that I do. The other thing is I want to be known for someone who gives, who is willing to give, who cares to give, who understands giving because it's true to my spirit. I always want to be inspirational. And then for me, I always want to be able to smile. When I think about elements of like the law of attraction, like attracts like, and I think about smiles, there has never been a time that I can recall where I gave a great big smile and somebody didn't smile back, because like attracts like, and so I put out what I got back. But when I think about my legacy, what I leave forward, my stamp on the world, I want it to be those elements. How I contributed, how I served, how I may have helped, the seed that I planted and how it may have grown. So when I think about my legacy, those are the things that are important to me. I'm reminded of a quote that I have at my desk, and it says, "Will you infect or affect the world today?" Now, to infect is contagion or a disease. Affect is to influence, to inspire. So it's my hope, it's my desire, it's my legacy that I'm able to affect those that I touch, either through this podcast, my writings on bettingonme.com, opportunities to speak publicly to people, the work that I do with at-risk teen girls and domestic violence awareness, all of those things. It's my desire to have an effect. So I would ask you, what is your legacy? Drop me a couple comments. Feel free to shoot out. If you're interested in a guest spot on my podcast, please reach out to me. I have some bookings available and would love to have you. And with that, until next time.